Hi, it's Coxie here with Team Schism. So we've got Jack with a first place winner box deck profile plus his Euro deck profile.
Yep.
What were you playing, Jack?
I was playing 48 card, blind second, branded Despia Tears.
Alright.
I thought it was a meta call. It's worked fine. The only losses it's taken has been at Euros. So yeah, the deck's been working fine up to now. The losses at Euros were, one was out of my control, one of them, two of them I misplayed, so I'll just take that. But yeah.
Alright, let's crack on with the deck profile then.
For the main deck, so to clarify, it was more of a Despia list than it was a Tearlament list, because I think the Despia cards are still better than Tears in like a vacuum. So we started off with like 3 Aluba. It's again like this over Rhino Heart is the big thing, because this gets you to Branded Fusion, which as a power card is better than just one TNM. So, and being able to float afterwards comes up like every single game, especially in grinds against Tears and things like that. So it's 3 of that, 3 Tragedy. You could probably cut it to 2, but 3 comes up nearly every game because you are playing like 3 Shylin, this card becomes another starter. Because this plus Shaylin gets you the mill 3, the search off of this, which then gets you the Brand of Fusion as well. And because Mirror Jade's so good this format, taking rid of Kaleido, Hearts, and like anything on Splight boards, like if it gets rid of Turd, they can't get it back. So just being able to get rid of stuff like that is free. And then the one Adlib, I don't know why people cut this from this list. Like if people are playing Branded, they usually just play the 3 Fusion and the Albaz, which we played 2 of. But being able to go with the full Despia package gives you access to like the broken power cards like Inred, Chimera, and more frequent access to Mirror Jade on your opponent's turn things, which I think is just a better play going into a meta, especially blind in second. You can go Inred, add this back from like discard it for cost or searching it off the Tragedy, and then like swiftly OTK them. And you're not really trying to, if you don't OTK them, you're trying to get them to a board state where the game's so simplified that setting an Inred with a Mirror Jade is usually just a free win against them. Because they won't burn through all the resources in Splight, but they'll burn through enough where that's just enough to kill them. For the Tears, it's 3 Sharon and 3 Havness, because they're the good ones. 2 Maru, Koshi, Brick Shoe, and 1 Rhino. It's one of this, because you don't want to play too many normal summons. These 2 are the good ones. This probably go down from 3. It just seems very high roll. So I've had like more whiffs off this than anything, but in the winner box, I used this effect on their turn 1. I milled a Shiren, a Tragedy, and a Maru off of it, and I made a turn 0 Kit Colors and a Masquerade, which was nice, but it's very inconsistent. Usually, like the reason you play these names is because they're so free off Branded Opening and Branded Fusion. So yeah. You need to play one of this for Kaleido Heart because she's very, very good.
So if it's very, very good, have you ever thought about playing any more than one?
If I was going to, I'd have to cut 1 Aluba for one of these. I don't want to play any more than, I don't like playing the double Albaz as bricks to begin with, but playing like 4 actual normal summons is like more than enough for me. There's been occasions where I've wanted to cut an Aluba anyway, but opening on turn 3 is also quite nice, so just keeping that as nice.
That's fair.
And then I think the last monster is 3 Kings one. This card's very good at the minute. Like, again, blind in second, I think this card's mandatory in this kind of deck because, again, threatening Chimera at any point is why this deck like functions in theory. So being able to like chain block 2 to 3 TNMs and then with a Chimera that is untargetable makes it very difficult for your opponent to like interact with your board at all. Like they have against Splight specifically, if they poly resolve, like well, 1 poly late in the gate, if not, and 2 if they let it resolve, you tear through their entire board with a Chimera, because that deck has to smash it to get rid of it.
So what did you think about the ruling? About
no, right, that's silly. So I can't remember what event it was. I don't know if they even ruled it that way, but the word around was that it couldn't be used as fusion material, as a fusion substitute in the grave, which is wrong and stupid, but what is. We played 1 poly as well. Yeah. No. If any judge tries telling you that this can't be used for Millennium Eyes in the grave, they are instantly wrong. That's absurd. But yeah, so 3 King of Swamp and 1 Poly. 3 Field Spell. This card's even in Terraforming. This card's even crazier going second because the pop effect comes up every single game to like clear board states, and because this format's so board break intensive, being able to like chain block Kick Close off with the pop is so free. So you got like CL1 Kick Close, CL2 Field Spell, threaten the turd, and the Kick Close resolves anyway. So then the Kick Close will another negate if you search like Rhino Heart or another name, because you'll have to summon, you'll trigger the Kick Close, summon the other one, send Kick Close. If not, if they destroy it, then Kick Close triggers anyway. So it just baits out so much interaction. 3 of the best branded card. So I guess you're a Lubra draw phase to play around draw, but no one's playing draw. So one play that happens quite a lot is, because Elf's main phase only, you can threaten battle phase if you have a tier in hand. Go effect to this, and your opponent has to negate it, otherwise you get a free Masquerade on the board. Or you get free Quaritus. So you go Algebra 1, no, you go Tier 1, Algebra 2, and then you'll resolve the tier in the battle phase. Meaning you can just swing over the turd or the elf, and then that's 1 point of interaction gone. It's usually the elf, so then they can't bring back the turd, you have to be at 1 negate throughout the entire turn. And just searching Brand of Fusion as well. That card wins game. 3 Brand of Fusion. This card's broken. Mirror Jade's really good.
Very mandatory in this build.
Yes, this breaks boards. One of this can get 2 to 3 points of interaction out of your opponent.
And if you can't threaten battle phase, that card is you can only activate once per turn.
So Turd doesn't stop it fully. That came up at Euros like an unhealthy amount, which was nice. 2 in red. This is the reason why we play the extended branded package, the Despia cards even, because this card's just too good. Like this and Adlib make for a very like nasty little resource loop where you can mirror jail on your own turn to break the board, and then in the gummy board state, you just set one of these in the end phase with the Albion, and then fusion away, Adlib something about the Mirror Jade, you've got two draws, a pop, and another banish, which after breaking through a board, there's like, I'm confident in saying there's not many things that can play through it. And then the broken one-offs, instant fusion, foolish, hold by, and you've got to play it. I refuse to play 2, even if Beat Cop exists. This card's terrible. But is what it is.
To be honest, I'm very surprised that this came back.
What do you mean? It's a terrible card, but I didn't want to lose to Mystic Mine. Like, this was in specifically for Euros. For local levels, I probably just got it. But then, since Euros, everyone's been playing Marcus Patel's plant list, so I have to play it now because everyone's on 2 Mystic Mines in the main deck. Everyone gets scared when you activate this because they're going to go for Kick Close, and you just feign them and go for Millenniumize immediately, and play around all the interaction going second. Because then if your opponent tries to like toad you at any point, you just go Millenniumize, take the turd, and then they have to use the elf there, and it's another point of interaction going. So that's the broken one-offs. And then the reason this deck actually works is the best card in the game, the second best card in the game, and the third best card in the game.
All board breakers.
Yeah, this is why I expected 48 cards. It's like if you want to draw one of these going second, you want to go second, you want to get the 6th card, and you want to draw at least one. If you draw this, it's basically an FTK nowadays because Garura exists. Droplets is the worst of the lot, but in this, it has utility. Because if you send one of these, it makes in red life immediately. We were on about dropping the droplets just between the team, but it's just more points of interaction where it's like your opponent can't respond, and this is what we wanted, because if your opponent has any chance to respond, that they can get back into the game. You want to be doing it at the point where it's like you're getting chunks of like 2+, or your opponent can't stop them anyway. So you want to chain block so much that your opponent can't stop you, or they have no option to, and that way you just can't lose. And that, in theory, obviously it doesn't work all the time, but like in theory, that's what we want to go for. If you're going to cut any of these, you cut the droplets, and then you probably try and go down to 40 cards, but I don't think it's worth going down to 40 for it. And the only track we played is the only good one. So I'll take credit for this one, because everyone on the team said Meta Noise was better, but this is a starter if you draw it with his opening, and Meta Noise is terrible if you draw it with opening. If you open this in opening, you can pitch this for effects, get the Aluba, and then search for Rhino Heart. So you get both starters of the deck within the normal summon. And with Collider Heart, this is just a better card. Looping Collider under Rivalry is the way you out like all floodgates. So.
Have you ever considered the Despia trap?
Right. The FTK one, what we were talking about, or the Banishment.
Banishment.
So again, we're blinded second. I was tempted to side deck one Banishment for going first, but because I thought the idea of this deck is you go first, you go second, FTK them, which works most of the time. Game 2 is your hardest match, right? Because your opponent will either make you go first, thinking that you want to blind second if you want the dice roll, or they'll go first again and you have to break their board through a side deck, which is a lot harder. So game 3, the plan is to side in to a lot of broken power trap cards and blow them out that way. So Banishment was one of the options, but we decided on a more unique package for this side deck because it turns out a lot of the meta just dies to like big wallet cards. So we'll get to that when we get around. But for the extra deck, for the branded cards, 1 Mirror Jade because it's great spots. 2 Albion. You need 2 because you want to send them. Sometimes I thought about playing Albalenetus, but searching Instant Fusion isn't actually that good because you don't want to be having a turn 3. So this only comes up so you can get the in red. 2 of this because I'm greedy. This probably should be the second Masquerade, but especially at local level, at Euros, I think I was playing the second Masquerade, I can't remember. But at local level, you'll get a lot of people either imperming or veiling this, thinking it's a choke point, which I don't think is right, but it does stop your turn, so it might be. So you just play the second one so you can shuffle things back later on anyway. You also don't play a light target in the main deck, so 2 is a lot safer. 2 Stapelia. Different rarities because people keep trying to shark me that I am only using 1. This card is an FTK against Splight if they don't know what they're doing. If they normal summon a monster that does not have an on summon effect, just Stapelia it. They have to have drawn starter then. Or you can hold it for Gigantic, but if they draw red plus another name, then it doesn't really solve much of an issue. 1 Kick Close and 1 Collider as a Tears. You don't need any more than this, ever. You shuffle everything back for Stapelias anyway, which is why you have to play 2. So you never do need it. This card comes up a lot less in this version, but if you open King of the Swamp plus a tier name, this is usually like the end goal, if you will, because you search the Rhino off this, send another name off the Rhino, resolve the Rhino, and use this, the Rhino, and the other name you've just sent to summon this as another board breaking plan. The 2 Despias are 1 Masquerade and 1 Quaratus. Like I said, there's the Battle Phase trick with opening, where you usually summon Quaratus because then it floats into like Aluba or Tragedy. But yeah, Masquerade comes up in time, obviously. But this is also the reason I wanted to play the second one is because there's a card in the side deck. But the entire theory of the side deck revolves around tributing these cards. So a second one of this would come up. If I want to resolve double of that, which I'll again show in a sec. And then the last 2 fusions, well, the ones we actually summon. Millennium Eyes, you summon it off King of the Swamp, you summon it off Instant Fusion most of the time. And the best card in the extra deck. This, in a blind second deck, is beyond unfair. If I've had more than enough games where I can say, if this card resolves, usually you lose the game. Like, especially Splight, if you use 2 from field and pop 2, they're really going to struggle because they have to chain smashes, otherwise their board gets broken. So they have to get rid of one of their own cards, you'll take out another 2, and then you'll draw another. So they've lost 4 cards from their field in entirety. You've drawn a card, and all you've lost is this. Which, if considering all your other fusion material chain blocks itself, you will never be in a scenario where summoning this and it resolving doesn't like win you the game instantly. And then the super power targets. Shout out to Dom and Robbie from the Evil Twin video for telling me to play this. It came up at literally every game because Splight players weren't playing around it with Super Poly. So you go Battle Phase, Super Poly away, Red and Elf, and then this attack over something else, which is free. Or if some very bad Splight players will go summon the Dupe Frog, and then this eats their entire board, which is great.
Which is why we're trying to play around all weekend.
Yeah. I think we agreed as a team that Dupe Frog's a terrible card. And then for side deck, we had the tokens. The only hand trap I found like worth running at all this format is Crow. I think playing anything other than this doesn't do enough, and even this only stops like okay tier boards. I don't think this is probably worth playing in the future. I'd probably try and play Evenlys over anything, or another go first card. Battle removal. I didn't respect Eldritch that much. I didn't verse any, so there's that. I don't think I needed to. I versed a few at locals, but the other cards inside deck, again, the spice if you want, we'll get to later, that like hosed it out anyway. This is more in here for, just generically set these in every game too, because they'll go first and they'll set up anti-spell, because literally everyone's setting up anti-spell, so you'll have to go first, you'll have to go second and just side all 4 of these in, because if they resolve anti-spell, you get hosed, so you don't really have a choice.
Especially against Mathmech, because they can search it.
Yeah, that's something that came up. Like, Mathmech's a free matchup until they get anti-spell out, or rivalry. And then the unique part about side deck, which is something we labbed up like a couple months ago, and we're just looking for a shell to play it in, was double trap trick to search 3 deck devs and 3 EEVs. So before Splight format happened, me and I think it was Luke, who's a member of the team, we were talking about how this card just hoses out Splight. We'd seen it in some OCG lists, but if this card resolves against like even a semi-decent Splight hand, you just instantly win, because everything's just tiny.
This card also kills Mathmech.
Yeah, also kills Mathmech, also kills Exorcisters, which again, a very difficult matchup for this deck, because you have to move stuff out the grave. But if you have this and Super on your main deck, Exorcisters becomes free. So if you go, and this is what we're talking about with the Masquerade, right? Because Masquerade fulfills the requirements on both these cards. So what ends up happening against, and again, Sunavalon now also gets hosed by this card. So if you go summon Masquerade on your first turn, your opponent will think you're trying to burn them to death. But again, if you get burned, they get burned, right? So you're already up on life. And then halfway through the turn, you'll just go flip deck dev, tribute the Masquerade, resolve that. And then later on, you could literally just go summon back the Masquerade, its own quick effect, flip the other virus card. Which is why we were playing the second one, so that you would already have the second burn effect online. So you probably have to play under minusing 1,200 life points every single effect, as well as being under the virus cards. Which, again, we think this, like up to now, these cards have been performing like incredibly. This is what helped me against Eldritch, by the way, in all the local matches. This just hoses it, because as much as some people try and defend like, oh, the traps float, it doesn't matter if they float, they have to waste an entire turn and they'll be dead in the next one. Like, you're not going to give them a second turn. It's like the argument with anti-spell. They can do it next turn, but they will not be one. So just in terms of logic, there's no reason to not play this and this as a side deck card for going first. And the dream of it was, if you go, you use a dice roll, win, win. Game 2, if you lose, you go to game 3, and you say to them, I will go first. They'll be like, oh dear, I sided in to go second, or I sided in to go first myself, because I thought you were buying a second or whatever. And you just sided in all of these, your opponent sided in all their trap cards and anti-spells or whatever, you flip this up and hose them. So again, it doesn't always work out like that way, but when it does work out, it's perfect. And especially like even just siding this in for going first, it's card's so free. So yeah, that's the theory of that. So Euros was okay. We've got a 5-4 record on day 1. It wasn't great, but you know, it was first Euros. And at the winner box, it was only 3 rounds. The first round was a brand of Despia, and I just out-resourced them, out-paced them. they did a silly play as well, where they ended up like mirror away their own card because the chain didn't resolve how they wanted it to. And then I versed our friend Fez, who was on a very similar list to Marcus Patel from Euros on plants, and that's where the deck devs and like just other stuff like that came in, and it just cleaned house. Game 1 I TK'd them because they're not prepared with anything left after that. So yeah.
All right, thank you very much. And this is Team Schism signing out.